See, we're all working hard right
We have
now.
more over here.
Right.
You're acknowledging that you're concerned about your education and the things that are going on, not only at Oxnard College, but at the state level. So, thank you. President, Dr. Duran is going to be speaking to us shortly, and if I can have your attention, be very attentive. I'm not going to be answering any questions, but if he does, make sure you stand up, introduce yourself, and project so that way you can get the full question that you guys have. Before we begin, if I can get everybody maybe to come closer to the middle so we can kind of see everybody, if you guys don't mind, please.
Down to it, so maybe just a little bit back here.
Oxnard College, show your pride, man.
It'll help.
They're cutting it back. Because they got rid of it. But
Good afternoon, everybody. If I can have your attention, please. Again, as I mentioned before, my name is Jose Delara. I'm the Senator of ESG, our student government. Again, thank you for being here and expressing your concern and participating in this event, this forum. Before I introduce our president, I'd like to remind everyone that you can show your support also by signing a petition that's going around. It's going to be available at the canopy, so afterwards, please take a minute to do that. Dr. Duran has made time to address our concerns. He's going to be talking about budget cuts. I'm not sure if he's going to have time for questions, but we'll move forward if he does. If not, please be attentive. Give him your undivided attention. And respect. Without further ado, President of Oxnard College, Dr. Duran.
This is better, right?
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Jose. Thank you, ASD, for inviting me to come and maybe give you some updates on what's happening in the budget and how it's going to affect you as students directly. I have also with me Dr. John Alamane, who's our Vice President of Business Services. He's the one that deals with all the finance day-to-day. And if you have questions, we'll take questions to try to answer anything that you might be wondering about as we know it today. And if I can answer it, Dr. Alamane will help me and keep me straight. The budgeting process for the California Community Colleges really starts in January when the governor comes out with a proposed budget to the whole state. In it, there he makes his proclamations of what he wants to fund from requested to the state legislature, what he wants to cut, etc. Based on that, our district begins to start formulating a process to develop our budgets for the ensuing year. We're talking about next summer, fall, starting with July 2010 to cover till June 30th, 2011. This is the budget we're talking about. When the governor came out, the state has projected a shortfall of $19.9 billion for the next year. It actually covers this year and next. Of that, they have projected $6.6 billion shortfall this year, 2010, between 2009 and 2010, and an additional $12.3 billion for next year. When you look at those kind of cuts, it's going to affect the whole state. To his credit, the governor did propose that community colleges this time get an increase in funding as opposed to cuts that we've experienced for the last 2 years. He was trying to make whole community colleges as a result of trying to fund career and technical education programs. There's a truism in higher education that says when the economy's bad enrollments rise. Why? Because if you're not working, people are coming back to school to upgrade their skills, maybe seek a new profession in order to prepare for the economy when it does get better. So in community colleges, that's what generally happens. And that also has happened throughout the state of California, and particularly our campus. This year, we've seen a rise in enrollment of about 8%. So that means our classes are impacted. While the enrollments are rising, based on the budget cuts, it affects you directly because we can't offer as many classes as we want because there's not enough to go around to fund the classes we had done historically. Services begin to be impacted. For example, the cafeteria being closed on Fridays for the balance of this semester and late Thursday afternoon. Maybe the hours are cut because, in terms of counseling and others, because of the lack of funding. So the decisions that the legislators make become very crucial. So after the governor presents his budget, now he's calling into question the legislature and has called for a special session to begin to deal with this. Now we're in the process of the legislators trying to take a look at the education committee of the legislature, beginning to get more detailed information. They're having hearings on the budget for next year. In May, the governor will come up with a revised budget. The legislative analyst's office will come up with a projection. By the way, the projection now is not 19.9. Now it's already 21 billion shortfall that we're going to be dealing with. So as soon as they come to a final number, the role of the legislature is to come up with a budget that they're going to approve, supposed to have it done by June of this year. But based on our past experience, even though the governor has proposed an increase in funding for us, because of our past experience with the legislature, we don't believe that they can really cut that kind of money and not affect higher education and community colleges. As a result, our district is planning on a 5% cut again for next year. To this campus, it means $1.3 million is going to have to come off our budget for next year. What does that mean to you? Again, it means we're going to be having more classes cut from the schedule. Last night, the board just approved the layoff of about 7 of our staff. And all the other campuses in Moore Park and Ventura are also experiencing the same thing. That means we're going to have to be more efficient in the way we run our campus. That means the workload of staff here is going to double, because when you lay off staff, that means somebody's got to absorb the work. The work doesn't go away. It still has to be done. We have to find better ways to do that. It does mean the services are going to continue to be cut. Right now, over the summer, many of you know, if you were trying to take a summer class, one of the direct effects was we are not going to be able to offer 3 weeks of the summer program.